All right, first and most important is beans. Here in Seattle, we have access to some of the best beans out there. This is Kuma coffee, which is roasted here. This particular bag was roasted 3 days ago, so you can see there. This particular one is a small batch of Ethiopian beans that were grown and washed. There's a whole lot of very fine details here on the package, which I won't go into. But pretty much anything Kuma roast is going to be pretty good. But you want to get it before it roasts. The second thing is that when you grind up coffee a little too fine, then that fine powder produces what are called long protein chains, and those add bitterness to the coffee. Here is basically your standard blade grinder, and as you can see here, this hasn't been used in a while. And if I could get the top off here, the issue with the blade, it rotates in here, is that it will chop the same bean over and over again, making a fine powder. So you end up with, no matter how hard you try, a bitter cup of coffee. Replacing that with something that looks more like a pepper mill. This is from a little kit that I got at the Sur La Table here, but it's a lot of work, so I don't use this anymore. And it's got a crank on it that that does it. And inside here, inside the hopper, you can sort of see this is the same kind of rasp burr that you would get in a pepper mill, just a little bit bigger. What we have here is an electric version of that, and this one is pretty darn nice. I just loaded it up with beans, and we'll turn it on. Meanwhile, over here, this is we'll wait for the grinding sound to finish. That is awfully loud. Okay, and this is a Hario Buono dripper, and you see here this fine little spout is exactly the magic behind this guy. So we're going to load in just tap water. Right, and this stove cooktop really does whip this out quite quick. So while that is boiling, this is a ceramic dripper, and see how it has the swirls there in there? That basically keeps space between the filter and the edge, so it actually allows for a very, very clean cup of coffee. I can't really tell you how nice it is. The filters, some people are real picky and they want to use cloths and they want the paper taste in their coffee. I use paper filters, but these go specifically with this dripper, a V60 dripper, and you'll notice how they're perfectly conical. And as a result of that, you end up with a much slower drip. What I end up doing here is I'm going to have to move my hand here. I end up folding this a little bit over extra because my dripper is just a tiny bit too large for this. And there. Okay, so now that's all set. Okay, here's my beans, and I'm not really picky about how much you put in. Obviously, the flavor is obviously the magic, but I usually put one of these per 8-ounce cup. I'm making 16 ounces here, so I need to put 2. Let's see, the second one I end up making that one just a little bit light like that. And so then that sits in there. And I told you this water was fast. It's already almost boiling. There we go. There's that pleasant sound. And it pops. So, now here's the magic, okay? I'm going to go and I'm going to pour this in here. And at first you go a little bit fast. But then you see all that lovely caramel colored foam that's on top? That's degassing of the beans. And that is something you want to see. A nice creamy foam on top. And now something I hope the camera picks up is the different colors. See how when I put fresh hot water on, the foam is kind of light and white. And the older foam that's set is cooler and darker. So you're going to use that to kind of figure out how to add water, because you want to add water to the dark colored foam. The purpose of that is to keep the heat even. You want to perfectly control the heat. And so I'm going to try to just swirl around and hit these dark spots. And obviously there's a whole art to doing this. The idea is to get the pour from start to finish to be perfectly timed. I'm not quite that picky. I'm willing to just pour it and let the dripper tell me how fast it wants the water. But notice how I'm trying to avoid touching the sides, the paper sides of the cone. I'm just going to kind of do that. And now when it gets full, about like this, I'll go and I'll set this back down over here and let it reboil so it gets back up to temperature. And here we can see the lovely coffee coming out. Okay, there's that lovely sound. And let's go ahead and just keep adding. And notice how the foam kind of thins out at this point. Once you've gotten it started, that foam kind of burns off, and then it doesn't foam up quite as much anymore. But still, that dark little edge around is normal. That's what you want. It means that you're not wasting water by hitting just the paper. Watch that coming down. And you see the drip speed is really just perfect. Alright, we're almost there. Alright, and now the last of the water goes in. Yes, that's a cup that I got from a Starbucks. I don't drink the coffee from Starbucks, but I do use their coffee cups. Let's see there. That's how fast it drips out. And that controls the amount of time that the water comes in contact with the grinds. While that's finishing off, I'll show you this nice little adjustment on here. See how this this dripper has a, I wish I could get it to come into focus, maybe I can. This there's a number right here that is not really coming in focus. But basically it allows you to control how big the grinds come out. And as you can see, the size, I pour a couple out here on the counter so you can see the size. So and they're all very consistently the same size. And that is what you want, because that's going to produce the coffee that has the most cleanest flavor with no bitterness. All right, now we pour and drink, and you do not waste any time with this step. Alrighty, and I wish this video had smell to it, because you would just be very impressed by the odor. Alright, there you go. That is how to make the perfect cup of coffee.